What is up, YouTube? This is T1 coming at another video. Today I'm talking about X-Men Apocalypse, which I was pumped out of my mind for this movie. I was so excited. I love the X-Men films, but the Bryan Singer ones in first class. Other than that, not so much. I wasn't a big fan of the Wolverine. I hated X-Men Origins a lot. I fucking despised that movie. I also didn't like Last Stand, and Deadpool is one of the most overrated movies I've ever seen. X-Men Days of Future Past, though, was my favorite film of this franchise so far. Sadly, Apocalypse just isn't as good as the last two. When I say last two, I'm talking about First Class and Days of Future Past. Although I did still enjoy it. I really liked the new cast members. Sophie Turner made a good Jean Grey. Cody Smith-McPhee was perfect as my favorite X-Men of all time, Nightcrawler. And Alexander Shipp, in my opinion, was way better than Halle Berry ever was as Storm. Movie's also a lot of fun. That's probably the best thing about it is it's not as dark as Civil War or Batman v Superman. There's a relatively light tone in this movie, although it is the most violent in this new trilogy, and I do think it goes far too dark in some areas. Strong performances from the original cast as well. McAvoy is still great. Fassbender is fantastic because Magneto especially has a very emotional arc in this film. Although Jennifer Lawrence and Nicholas Hoult feel like they're phoning it in at this point. Action scenes are pretty good, although not as good as Days of Future Past. And Apocalypse is a really great and different kind of villain for the X-Men movies because it's pretty much been either Stryker or Magneto. That's pretty much been the villains of these X-Men movies, and Apocalypse is very different than those characters. But Quicksilver is once again the highlight of this movie. His scene is the best scene I've seen in a summer movie so far this year. The song choice was perfect, just like last time, and the movie is worth the price of admission for that scene alone. But this movie does have a lot of flaws, sadly. The story is very weak, especially compared to the last two. I thought X-Men Days of Future Past had a really great story with lots of twists and turns, and I loved the origin story of First Class. This one really just doesn't have that. It also doesn't get lost in its time period as much. And in X-Men First Class, you had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and Days of Future Past, you had the Vietnam War. In this one, this really could have taken place in any decade, aside from a couple songs they used from the 80s. There's really lackluster CGI in this film as well. I was taken aback at just how unpolished this looks. Seriously, this movie had a huge budget. There's no way that is the best they can do. And we don't spend anywhere near enough time with the new characters, especially the Horsemen, who may as well have been CGI monstrosities for all the development they're given. Psylocke had no motivation. I had no idea what she wanted or why she even decided to join Apocalypse. And I never left to go to the bathroom in this movie. I sat through this whole thing. No personality there. As well as Archangel. He maybe had one line before he's killed off. Spoiler alert. And Jubilee was in that TV spot before the movie more than she was in the movie itself, which kind of pissed me off. And sadly, the film was also pretty by the numbers. There's not a lot to differentiate it from all the other comic book movies out there. That being said, this film I did still have a lot of fun with it, although it's definitely a huge step downward from the last film. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 because I did still enjoy it, but they're going to have to make some changes if they want this franchise to keep going. This is T Clinton 1 signing out.